Laura Broderick here from the Mayflower to discuss social bonds in America. The first settlements in America created strong social bonds founded in Christianity. The first English settlement in the New World was the Virginia colony established at Jamestown in 1607. Mark A. Knoll finds the Virginia colony was unlike other colonies to follow because it was founded to make a profit for the Virginia Company of London. The original settlers who came to Jamestown were not seeking religious freedom from persecution, but rather wanted to find a new life with more land and more money. Many of the first settlers were men without families and settled in dispersed patterns. However, the settlers were quite religious and formed a social community with their faith. When the first settlers arrived in May 1607, they joined Reverend Robert Hunt in holding a service of communion. When Lord de la Warr arrived in 1610 to save the colony, he first organized a worship service to issue a biblical call for sacrifice in industry. The earliest legal documents in Virginia made attendance at Sunday services mandatory and gave harsh laws prohibiting violations of the Sabbath, adultery, and excessive dress, similar to the Puritan mindset. John Rolfe married Pocahontas to share his Christian faith and to save her from her native ways. He stated in regards to marrying her, "But shall it please God thus to dispose of me? I will heartily accept of it as a godly tax appointed me, and I will never cease until I have accomplished mine and her eternal happiness." The Virginia settlers had to constantly contend with the natives for land and try and find assistance to help with crops and food. The Virginia settlers also, in times of trial, came together as a cohesive social unit to pray for help and to offer thanks to God. Religion as a community offered them comfort and let them know they were not alone. A strong religious bond was immediately present in the New England colonies among the Pilgrims who settled in Plymouth, Massachusetts. The Pilgrims, before disembarking their ship, the Mayflower, formed a Christian compact known as the Mayflower Compact. This compact solemnly and mutually combined themselves into a civil body for order and preservation of their society. After a very difficult winter, the colony prospered by beginning a congregational form of worship and instilling a deeply pious sense of community. The Puritans emphasized high religious influence in the early governments of Massachusetts and created a strong sense of community. The Puritans worked together as a social unit and displaced anyone who voiced opinions outside of their beliefs. This was very evident during the Salem witch trials, where those who had engaged in political strife with the Puritan society were executed. Having strong social bonds was extremely important in Massachusetts. Thomas Benjamin finds that, however, unlike Virginia, Massachusetts had no valuable staple to produce and export. The settlers created small, self-sufficient farms, built ships, and in time took over the fur trade in the Caribbean. This created a strong community that worked together as a social unit to survive. Most other faith-based communities that immigrated to the United States sought religious freedom and settled in units, thus creating a social bond based on similar experiences. The Baptists, who shared many similar convictions with the Puritans, settled in Massachusetts. The Quakers, under the leadership of William Penn, settled in Pennsylvania, and the Moravians came together as a community of believers to love Christ and serve the world. The many faiths that settled in America created strong social bonds to escape religious persecution. Their strong beliefs in God gave them hope in the face of death and disaster. These individuals formed a strong religious society based on a social bond as they started their new adventure in the Atlantic world.